Hello all, welcome. I am super excited that you are joining me here today. My name is Michelle Rose and I am going to be showing you today how to host your own virtual art and talent show. And so just a little bit about me. So I currently teach full-time at a K-12 virtual school. So I was teaching virtually even before this was happening for all of us, school shutdowns and all of that. Currently, specifically, I teach 8th grade general music and high school music appreciation. I also direct the extracurricular virtual band/orchestra, so I have all kinds of instrumentalists in that group, as well as the virtual choir. So if you're interested in how I direct those ensembles, definitely check out some of the other videos or other trainings and the recordings that I've done in this Facebook group. I also am the director of the International Music Education Summit Virtual Honor Band, and at this moment, my school is still open and running as normal, so I am teaching a full day in addition to kind of trying to help out at night, so I'm happy to do so. But please, if you reach out to me, know that there is going to be a bit of a delay in getting back to you. And I am not going to be monitoring the Facebook Live for comments during my session, so I'll definitely take questions at the end, and if I don't get to your question, then I will respond afterwards. And if you're interested in connecting with me, I mainly spend most of my time on Instagram. I'm at the_musical_rose, or you can visit my website at themusicalrose.com. All right, so now that you know a little bit about me, let's dive in. So today, like I said, I am going to show you how to create your own a virtual art and talent show. And this is the model that I'm going to show you is what we use each semester. So the art teachers and I have done several virtual art and talent shows for our school. We've done them 6 through 12. We've also done K through 12. So it's definitely doable for, any grade level. And so this is going to be probably a little bit different than what you're used to. So as in all of the trainings that I've done, I just ask that you keep an open mind. With virtual education, there is no exact one-to-one transfer. It's not going to be a situation where, you can say, okay, I'm going to take this and directly put it online and it'll work perfectly. A lot of times virtual learning, as you have probably been discovering, requires a little bit of creativity, a little bit of tweaking, but you can do it. And so I just want to make this announcement up front too. Make sure that you're doing what is best for you. So I know there's been kind of an overwhelm of information, and I just want to put this out here that you do not have to do this. So know your students, know yourself, and do what is best for you in this situation. We're all taking it day by day, and so this is not something that you should feel like you have to do. My goal is just to show you that this is a possible option. And so, I meant to take this one out. But I just always go over this. This session is not going to, at the beginning of my trainings, just to put a disclaimer out there, because there are definitely limitations on what you can do. And so if you are expecting to see in this session how you can get all of your students in one virtual classroom for an art and talent show, and for them to be able to sing and play together at the same time, that's not what I'm going to be able to show you what you can do in this session. So if that's what you're expecting, I will show you some creative other ways that you can definitely have a virtual art and talent show. But right now, the technology does not exist where everyone can come into a virtual art and talent show at the same time and sing or play together. So just a little bit about why and how we developed this model. So I have a really awesome electives team. You can see here we totally rocked our costume contest. So yes, even in virtual school, we still get together for professional development and different activities. So we were all Disney villains. So the electives team, we go all out at my school, and I know that's a lot of, the case at a lot of schools. And so I really adore my electives team. Specifically, you know, the two art teachers I've really worked closely with, Katie Mae Royal and Deanna Brancaccio, even though they're not here with me and they're not really big on social media, I did want to give them a shout out because this is definitely not all me. This is a model that we have come up with together, and I, of course, couldn't do the art side at all. So they totally rock the art side of this. So at the end, and if you check in the folder that I have linked to, you can see that there is no direct contact information. However, if you have an art teacher friend that wants to speak to a virtual teacher, please let me know and I can put you in contact with them. I just didn't want to, I definitely got permission to share this and they're totally on board with this, but I didn't want to put their direct contact information in there just because that's not really what they're looking for. But if you have, you know, an art teacher friend or two, definitely send them my way and I can put them in contact with them. So we came up with this idea because we really wanted to give students a chance to showcase their work, and then also bring the school community together as I should say, oh, I'm editing on the go. This is welcome to real life, an arts community. So we wanted to create lifelong, you know, not even just music lovers and learners, but in the arts in general. And so we want to be fostering these awesome, positive, you know, arts experiences for students, even though they're in the virtual setting. They may not be able to go to, you know, a student art gallery night or something like that, but they still have the opportunity to do so virtually. So now I'm going to kind of dig into how this is all done. So I just wanted to put this out here one more time. The slide deck and all the resources that I'm going to be talking about today can be found in the Facebook video description. So if you want to follow along, you can follow along that way. Okay, so there are going to be both synchronous or live and asynchronous, not live, or you know, maybe just emailed or online for people to view as they choose. So there are two options for this. So you can definitely do this if your school is choosing not to have any live classes. I'm going to show you how to do both. And so here is a synchronous schedule, and you can definitely adjust this as needed, but usually we have it for about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the amount of students we have participating. So for example, maybe for the first 15 minutes, you have some sort of virtual art gallery viewing. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment, so hold your horses. In the next 15 minutes, maybe you view the pre-recorded performances and then end with the live open mic. And so I'm going to walk you through how to do each step, but this is just a way to see, you know, an overview of what you're looking at, what you can do. And so if you want to make this asynchronous, all you have to do is only do the virtual art gallery and the pre-recorded performances, and you can you know, post them to your Google Classroom or email out the links or whatever works best for you. But I think, you know, if you are feeling kind of anxious about doing live classes or having a huge amount of students live, there is definitely still a lot of value in, you know, showing student work asynchronously as well. So here is a sample slide that students might see when you come in to a virtual art and talent show. And so I use Zoom. I'm going to be talking specifically about how to use Zoom in this. I'm not quite as knowledgeable about other platforms, but I'm sure that this can be adapted. And so the big thing is to make sure that you have this right here. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of questions saying, I can't hear anything. What do? I can't hear anything. I can't see anything, or, you know, that kind of thing. That way, students, you don't have to frantically type to students, okay, this is what you need to do to troubleshoot. So can't hear anything, click here, click here. And so when students are coming in Zoom, I often, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this bigger. So if you use the share button and then click on advanced and portion of your screen, as well as share computer sound, so you can play, you know, some music as students are coming in, or maybe you just are going to play, I don't know, usually I've been playing a lot of calming music as students enter my classroom, so that way they can kind of feel a little bit calm. But if you click share computer screen and share portion of your screen, I usually set it so only the portion that is shared is within my slide deck. And then again, I share, some music or some calming sounds or something like that. So that way students are aware that if they're not hearing anything, this is what they need to do. So that way they're not going to be, saying something once the, performances start or something like that. So just kind of a pro tip for Zoom for that. Like I said, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in Facebook in the feed, and I will get to them probably closer to the end. All right, so now that you kind of have how to get started overview, let's go into how to get student submissions and what to do student submissions in for this. So my art teacher team takes artwork submissions via email, and so I have included some email templates for you to use in the Google Drive folder. I find that having some email templates, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed, can be really helpful. You can kind of change out wording as needed, but that way you have something that you can kind of copy and paste, and it kind of is one more thing to take off your list. So since we have a middle school and a high school art teacher, and we do the art show this spring, we're doing it 6 through 12. Just that it should be whatever artwork the student has should be attached in an email, and then it's really important that there's a subject line that's consistent, so that way you can search for that subject line, and then all of the art submissions will come up. My art teachers require that the student's full name, grade level, and the media or category of submission, as well as the title of the piece, goes in the body of the email. So if you have art teacher friends, they should definitely talk to their students specifically about maybe some of what those terms are. Like I said, not an art teacher, just partnering with my art teachers on this. But they really talk to their students about, how, what kind of media or category their submission is going to be, how to title their pieces and all of that. But that way it's all right there. And then the most important thing is to say submissions that don't follow these guidelines will not be accepted, and make that blanket statement, because otherwise you might be chasing after students and emailing back and forth. So they decided just to kind of like say you have to follow these guidelines. If you have questions, reach out, but these guidelines have to be followed, so that way they're not constantly chasing after students to kind of like, all right, I need your grade level, or I still need your title or something like that. So everything is kind of all or nothing, because if you're getting 100, 200 submissions, you don't really have time to chase after individual students. So really emphasize to your students that got to follow guidelines if they want their artwork to be in the gallery. And so the way then to prepare for the gallery, my art teachers only accept submissions up until 5 p.m. 2 days before, so they have time to prepare. And so they place each student's artwork on a slide with their information, their name, their grade level, title, etc., etc. And so if you wanted to do this live, you can, put this all into a slideshow and make the transition slides run on auto. And you can maybe play it twice through so students can see. Also, something to consider is, manually switching the slides, but allow each artist to talk briefly about their artwork. Here we go. My brain. Look, I know you are tired like I am. These past 2 weeks have been bananas, so please forgive parts of my brain going all over. Okay, and so this is an idea that I think my art teachers are going to, they've wanted to do something like this and pilot possibly this spring, is to give like an artist talk, or allow students to talk for a minute about their art. So again, this is totally optional, and like I said, if you are new to using Zoom or you're not quite comfortable, the less the better. You don't have to do everything to give students a high quality experience. So the main thing, just making sure that students' artwork is up and displayed in some way. So this is one way to do it. Now, the second way to do it, that the middle school art teacher has used in her class is using Artsonia. And so this is an online portfolio option. And so this web is listed in your resources that I put in the Google Drive folder in the slide deck. And so this is completely free. And so there is a way for students to submit artwork. The main thing that I think you all want to see, it's compliant with COPPA or COPPA, whatever it is, and FERPA. And so you can see this here. So definitely send this along to your art teacher friends. And so this is just a different way you can put the link so students can submit, and you can have them submit to the same place. And then you can send the link and say, okay, we're going to look at this student artwork for 15 minutes. And so here's the link, and, come back, in after the timer goes off, or after 10 minutes, or whatever you want to do. So this, again, takes the workout even a little bit further of having to create the slide deck. Students can submit directly to Artsonia. And so, again, just another option. Definitely talk with your art teachers, and they can kind of decide, what's going to work best for your school. But if you are looking to do something completely asynchronously, this might be one of the easiest options, because you can just say, okay, we're going to submit here, and then send out the portfolio link and say, look at all the beautiful student artwork that we have this year. And so again, if you're looking to go completely asynchronously, this might be the easiest option. Okay, next we have pre-recorded performances through Flipgrid. So we are going to get to the live performances, but some students may be more comfortable pre-recording. If you're looking to do this asynchronously, it's good to use Flipgrid for pre-recorded performances. And then also, some things may have been recorded maybe before, or a couple months ago or something like that. So like, for example, sometimes we get submissions of dancers who are submitting their last performance at a recital or a competition or something like that. So they're up in costume and makeup and all that. So they would rather submit that than, perform live in their living room or something like that. So we use Flipgrid, and basically I like using Flipgrid because they can record in Flipgrid, or you can upload a video from elsewhere. I usually create a moderated Flipgrid, and so that way students submit their video, and then we wait until the day of the talent show, and on the day of the talent show, art and talent show, I release all the videos and we can watch them all together. So it's kind of more of like a day of some kind of thing, instead of like a come back and watch whenever. So students know, okay, I'm submitting this video, and then once it gets to the day of, all the videos get released and I can come back and view it. And so just to give you an idea, in Flipgrid, usually I put some sort of GIF there. The main thing is, when you create a new Flipgrid, you want to make sure that you go in and you allow for video moderation. And so that will prevent any videos from being posted until you allow them to. And then I also like to turn off the view count, so that way it's not kind of turning into like a who can get the most views viral video kind of thing. So that way, we don't make this a competitive art and talent show. We make it totally like just non-competitive, doing it for the sake of the arts. So those are just two things to consider. And then once you, release the videos, this also prevents videos. So a lot of times I'll try to get, have students submitting on the day of. I also require any Flipgrid pre-recorded performances to be submitted 2 days before. I do screen them just to be sure, but sometimes students want to, they see other kids doing it, and they're like, oh, I got to get my video in, I'm going to do that real quick. And so I tell students, got to be 2 days before if you want to participate. I send out plenty of reminder emails reminding them, like, if you want to do this, you got to do it now. So that way I'm not having to moderate the day of. It's just kind of like a release. And then if you want to do it next time, you can do it next time. obviously it's totally your call, whatever's going to work best for you. But I find that on the day of the art and talent show, that's the stressful time, so I want to have to worry about as few things as possible. And so with the Flipgrid too, I also make it so only students who have an email address through our school can sign in and submit videos. It's up to you. I know not all schools have school email addresses, but if you are going to require that, that is an option on Flipgrid. Just make sure that you tell students to sign into their email account first, and I have that put in the email template, I believe, before they try to sign into the Flipgrid. And so just a few things to be aware of. Now we tell students, it doesn't have to be just, performing music or showing art. We get animations. So if students are into, animating or drawing, animated cartoons or that kind of thing, we say don't submit through the artwork because, that is more so meant for still work. So animation is a great Flipgrid option. Dancing, playing an instrument, or singing. This is a great option for color guard students. I've had students demonstrate, sports skills like dribbling a basketball and shooting. I've had a student give a how-to on how to do something. School-appropriate comedy, poetry reading. So, be sure to emphasize to students that this can be talent of all different kinds. It does not have to be just, playing an instrument or singing. And then something kind of fun that we have done in the past is allow faculty and staff to submit their talents through Flipgrid. And so this is kind of a fun surprise for students to find out, oh, I didn't realize like so-and-so could sing, or I didn't realize that so-and-so had this random talent. And so it's kind of a fun, neat thing. Now, obviously optional. Don't know what's best for you, your school community, but if you have a lot of people who are at home, who might be looking for something to do, we are not going to have our art and talent show until May, so plenty of time. It's kind of a fun thing for students also to see, teachers and staff kind of doing something outside of just teaching. It's just some things to consider. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit about the live open mic. So these two things, the artwork and the Flipgrid performances, those two things, again, can either be done asynchronously or synchronously. The live open mic can only be done synchronously or live, hence the name live open mic. And so I highly, highly recommend having sign-up times in advance. So I know technically, I think if you go to a live open mic, it's kind of just like, get up and perform. But I have found, so we tried to do that the first time, and it was just a lot to manage. So the second time we did it, we had a sign-up, and it just helped to run things a little bit smoother. We usually have time slots every 6 to 7 minutes. That might seem like a lot of time, but it gives students enough time that if they have issues with their mic or their camera or anything like that to kind of, get settled and then transition to the next set of students. And so you can kind of use your discretion on that. I highly recommend using a timer. So just kind of popping a timer up and saying, okay, so we're going to start next performance in 3 minutes, next performance in 2 minutes, just whatever. So just kind of keep things moving along. And so students also know, okay, the next performance is coming up soon. I can, grab a snack or some water or put something in the chat while I'm waiting. And so I like to use Google Forms with the Choice Eliminator Lite option because that will automatically eliminate some of your options. So I'm going to show you what that looks like real quick. And I have also linked to this again in your resources. So you can make a copy of this if you look in the slide deck in the link. If you go to this, you can make an exact copy of this. It'll force a copy of this so you can use this template or this layout. And so again, I just have first, last name, student ID number, just so I can ID students easily if they don't fill this out. Again, edit as needed. This is the most important thing, and so I'm going to show you in a moment how to use the choice eliminator right now. for this sample, I just, I didn't want to put in a bunch of times for you all. But once a student chooses an option, as long as you have this choice eliminator enabled correctly, every time I've used it, it's worked really well. And then that way it prevents, you having to figure out what time a student can sign up for and what's still available and all of that. It just kind of makes things a little bit easier. Then I have students, so I put kind of the common types of performances that we see students sign up for, and of course an other, just in case it's not there. Then the title, who wrote what they're performing, so that way I can, when I introduce them, I know what they're going to perform. I can also kind of screen what they're going to be performing. So I would say it totally depends on your school community, but if you're worried about what students may do live, have a dress rehearsal, and you can run through this live open mic, maybe the day before or the week before or something like that. I haven't had any issues so far. My students know the expectations of this, but again, they attend a virtual school full time, so this is not something totally new to them. So know your school community, know what's best for your kids. Okay, so now I'm going to show you real quick choice eliminator. So if you go, again, this is all for you in the resources section at the end of the slide deck, if you click on the link. So that you just need to install the Choice Eliminator Lite extension. And then when you have your form, you just click on add-ons and then click on Choice Eliminator Lite. Oh, and it's hopefully okay. And so I don't know why it's not working. Hold on. So it should pop up. Okay, so it should pop up. Let's see. I definitely have it. So this is welcome to being a virtual live teacher, where you plan everything out and then it doesn't quite go according to plan, but that's okay. We are gonna make it work. So I will bring this up, but basically what will happen is you just set it to your question, and then, okay, here it is. So I have it on my school Gmail account. Okay, so go into add-ons, Choice Eliminator Lite, configure, and then it will hopefully pop up here. Of course, when you are trying to do things live, it will, not work exactly as planned, but it will pop up there. I'm gonna try one more time. And like I said, when you are doing things as a live virtual teacher, it is kind of what it is. And that's what I've told my students, especially in the past 2 weeks. It is what it is. Okay, last try. All right. It looks like it's not, okay. It looks like it's not gonna work for me right in this moment. And the thing is, so much of my tech has been acting up because so many people are using it at one time. Like this morning, I was trying to get into Sign Up Genius and it wasn't working. So the main thing is add on, and you are all very smart, competent people who can read directions. So it is pretty clear. Just make sure that the main thing is to have the drop down, not the multiple choice. So the main thing is that the type of question is drop down. That's when it works the best. If you have multiple choice, it tends to not work as well. So that's just the type of question you have to use with that. All right. Now, I send my live open mic students, once they sign up, I send them a confirmation email saying, you have signed up for this time, because sometimes students say, wait a second, I signed up for this time. So that way they're getting a confirmation. I say expect it within 2 to 3 days. I just copy and paste the template. It's in the email template that I have given you. And so just confirming, so that way students are sure what time they signed up for. And then I remind them the day before, hey, you've signed up for this time. tomorrow you're going to be performing, just a reminder. Reminders, 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 because you're not seeing them in person. Now, during the actual live open mic, we use Blackboard, Collaborate, but you can also just as easily use Zoom. What I do is I message students privately 2 to 3 slots before they are going to perform, and just ask them to check their mic and their speakers. Again, even if they've done it in the beginning, I say just check one more time just to make sure everything is working, and then let them know you are going to introduce them and turn on their mic and camera. So say, okay, once the timer goes off, I will introduce you and turn on your mic and camera, and then you can begin. So that way students are kind of reassured. So once the timer goes off, I say, okay, I'm going to introduce blah, 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 and they are performing blah, 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 blah. Let's give a round of applause for blah, blah, blah. And so that way they're kind of prepped and ready beforehand and not trying to figure everything out as soon as their name is called. I also like to have this slide up in between. If students are performing with their cameras on, then I'll stop sharing. If they're just using their audio, I will keep this up so that way students have something to look at. But this also helps to kind of understand what's coming up. And so I have a currently performing. It also kind of keeps me on track. So I have the sign up opened up in another screen, and I can easily see what students are coming up. And I just kind of copy and paste their time and their name into this. And so that way students who are performing also can see, oh, okay, I'm up in 2 spots. Okay, I'm up in 3 spots. So this kind of just helps to move things along, to keep things on track, for students to understand, who's going when. And also, if students want to take a break, if the performance ends in like 3 minutes and the next one's not until 12:16, I'm gonna say, well, we'll take a short break. Or, if you want to go back and view the art gallery, or if you want to view the live performances, here are the links if you want to check that out while you're waiting. So a couple different options there. All right, so as this is going, and so once you get started, it's kind of off to the races. There'll be a few tech glitches, but usually once you can get the first student or two, kind of in a pattern, it gets a lot easier from there. And so I just wanted to lastly go over a few considerations, especially if you are using Zoom. So you definitely want to, especially if you're going to have a lot of students, over 20 or 30 students, you want, and honestly, I keep this off all the time, but you want to turn off private chat. So that will prevent students from being able to message each other. So that means anytime they chat, it will either go privately to you as the host or directly in the group message. So that way you won't have to monitor, if students are messaging each other and what they're saying to each other there. I highly recommend that you enlist help to monitor the chat, since you as the music, so I run the open mic as the music teacher, and I don't have time to kind of look at all the chats coming in. So, enlisting, we usually have a couple of teachers help out besides just the electives team to just make sure conversation's staying on track, answering any questions, giving reminders, all that kind of thing. I also highly recommend turning on the nonverbal feedback option in Zoom. So when you turn that on, you can show students how to applaud. And so that way they're not kind of filling up the chat with just like clap or applause or something like that. So on their end, it's going to say like participants or something like that. And when they click on that, maybe. Okay, so when they click on that, this will come up. And if you go under more, there's this clap. And so then, students can clap that way. And then they can turn it off. So that's a great way to kind of give students the ability to give a virtual round of applause. Again, you have to turn on this setting. It's called nonverbal feedback in Zoom, but it's a great way to allow students to give applause without, having to type it in the chat, or, being able to give applause in person. And then lastly, I highly recommend too that you disable whiteboard tools, annotation, and screen share for participants. That way students are not being disruptive in any way when other students are performing, and also it kind of takes away, you know, the option for students to, like I said, go rogue and kind of do whatever they want. So the less you can give students, the less options you can give students, especially in bigger groups, the better and the easier it is to manage. And I would say if you're not even comfortable with students or just chatting in that main chat, if you're going to have 300, 400 students, we often just turn off chat completely, and the only chats that come through are to the teachers. So that way we're not having to worry about, you know, what's happening. And you could always have, you know, a feedback form or something like that where students can react or put their comments in as they go along. Now, we do get feedback every year. If we have too many students, we have to turn off chat. I'm like, well, I just want to talk to my friends. But at the same time, it's for their safety. Like I said, it's harder to manage, you know, these giant groups and make sure that the chat stays on topic and appropriate. So do whatever you can manage. Okay, so that is kind of an overview. I just wanted to kind of go back to this screen and show you it's just 3 parts: art gallery, pre-recorded performances, and then if you want to do it synchronously, that live open mic. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. You know, simplify it as much as possible. Know yourself, know your school community, but this is a really great way for students to be able to be involved in the arts, to have a chance to kind of show what they worked on if they weren't able to perform in a concert or a dance recital or a sports competition or something like that. So it's definitely doable. If you have questions, I'm going to open up Facebook to see if there's anything that I can answer, and if not, please go ahead and reach out to me. You can send me a DM on Instagram at the_musical_rose. You can visit my website or send me an email, but please let me know if you need help. I'm here. It is doable. If you feel overwhelmed, please let me know and I'll help you work out details, but I promise you it goes a lot smoother than you would think, and my students absolutely love participating every year. So if you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, I'm going to head out for the night. I hope you all have a good one, and I will see you around on the internet. Have a good one.